Hello there, my name is Trish and welcome to Me Makes Money. Today I want to talk about the 7 ways to pay off debt aggressively. Just to share, my husband and I paid off more than $75,000 in debt in just under 2 years. And I want to share the 7 ways we did that. Right now we're still going through our debt-free journey, and we're projected that next year we'll be able to pay off all our debts. So the first one is stop accruing debt. So this means that we cut up all of our credit cards and we actually just use, I know sounds like no-brainer, but in order to kind of fund the lifestyle that we wanted, we were using our credit cards. So I would suggest cutting up your credit card so that you don't have that temptation to use it, and only spend what you can within your means. So if you're only making, $1,000 a week or $1,000 every 2 weeks, then you shouldn't be spending more than that. And usually just paying cash is what you would do. I know this might be tough at first for a lot of people because you're gonna start faking on your friends, and I know you're gonna have to learn how to say no. Saying no is really hard in the beginning because you haven't built those habits yet, but it's liberating to know and understand that these are my limits and this is where I have to stay at. I know this first step, you'll also learn about yourself because you'll actually think of creative ways on how to do activities with your friends without spending any money. Okay, step number 2 is saving $1,000. So this step is actually from Dave Ramsey, and this is an advice that Javier and I had adapted because, please. This advice actually came from Dave Ramsey, and what this does is that if you have $1,000, it acts as an emergency fund. So if something happens that's unexpected, you have money to use instead of using your credit card or borrowing money from Zoe. You actually have money to pay for that unexpected expense. And again, this prohibits you from using your credit card or borrowing money from someone else in order for you to pay for that. I also recommend that if you have a family of 2, you should save $1,000 per person, and that means you should have $2,000 in emergency fund. This is something I actually, frankly, have never read his book. I only listened to his podcast, but if you have 2 people in your family, husband and wife, or partner and partner, you should have $2,000. So it's $1,000 per person. If you have a family of 4, you have mom and dad, and then you have, a baby and a toddler, you should have a total of $4,000. We actually have a dog who is very, very, he needs a lot of medical attention, so we have $1,000 saved up for him as well. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Step number 3 is learning about what got you into debt in the first place. A lot of people my age, I am just under 30, we have a lot of student loans after going to college. Another big debt is credit card debt and car loans. A lot of people I heard is that when they graduate from college, they buy a brand new car, and that counts as debt. So those are the kind of things that you want to look at. What I actually did for myself is that I went back 6 months in bank statements and looked at the items that I was buying the most. And for me, the biggest debt that I had was credit card debt, and obviously the other one's taxes because I was on commission and I had 1099 and I used the money that I saved up for a really stupid thing. But that is a story set for another time. But I would recommend that you go 6 months back to your credit card statement and just look at what items you buy the most. Some of it, maybe it's, eating out or buying clothes. So going back to your credit card and just realizing what categories you spend the most money on. So a lot of the big things are eating out, sorry, change of scenery because I am getting distracted by somebody. But learning what got you into debt in the first place, and ask yourself why. Why did you spend money on those items? And you'll learn a lot about yourself, because if you do that, you will be able to go back to the times that you've swiped your credit card, especially if that's where your biggest debt is. And so what I did for myself is I actually went back 6 months and created a Google sheet, and I listed down all of the items that I use. So my category was eating out and spending money on clothes. So I went back to each time I swiped my credit card to eat out or buy food, like made food, and I put that in my Google sheet. And I also did that same thing for clothes. Like I did the same thing for clothes, and I started, kind of going back and looking at each time I swiped it and what I bought. And to be quite frank, I don't even recall these items that I bought, because I was buying it out of just emotion, meaning that I bought them just because I was feeling some sort of way. So you'll learn a lot about what made you do these things, and you can really learn about yourself when you do this exercise. I wouldn't recommend that you skip doing this and not going through your bank statement line by line and just kind of looking at an app and realizing what you spend your money on, because that doesn't really allow you to dig deeper on what's made you do it, right? And that's the whole point of this exercise. Creating these 7 ways is for you to stop. And you're really not going to stop if you just make shortcuts. So number 5 is learning the different types of debt repayment methods. So the biggest ones that I'm going to talk about are the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. The debt snowball is something popularized by Dave Ramsey, and I even think that he was the one who actually started this whole thing. And basically what it means is that you list down your debt from lowest to highest. That should be lowest to highest, and you attack debt payment by getting rid of your smallest debt and working your way up to your largest debt. The second is the debt avalanche, and this is slightly a little bit different, and you're supposed to be paying off your highest your debt with the highest interest rate, and then working your way down to anyway, so going back to debt avalanche, it's learning how, not learning, but paying your debt with the highest interest rate first, and then you work your way up to paying your debt with the smallest interest rate. And this is supposed to accelerate the process of paying off debt. And it's paying off debt faster, but at the same time, saving money as you do. Technically not saving money because you're still paying interest, but paying less in interest. Obviously, these two different methods have different pros and cons. What I like about the debt snowball is paying off something. Pay off the smallest amount, and that is a great feeling once you pay off at least one thing, and then it just keeps you motivated as you go. It's a very emotional process, and so the debt snowball is something that a lot of people like to do. It's more fulfilling, it's more motivating. The debt avalanche, it is faster, and it does save you money from paying interest, but it also could feel like you've been in this journey for a long time. Sorry. You've been in this journey for a long time, and the one thing that you want to do with debt repayment is obviously feel good about yourself. And so there's pros and cons to each method. Okay, I gotta hurry up because baby girl is taking over this whole video. But number 5. I'm losing track of count. Next one is picking which debt method you want to move forward with and create a plan on how you do that. So my husband and I actually went ahead and picked this debt snowball, and we didn't follow it step by step because the first item on our list was actually a personal loan from a family member. And the reason being why we wanted to pay it off, to be the first one to be paid off, is because we didn't want to owe money to a family member because they need that money too. And if anything, this is just a nice way of, she is eating the leaf. Give me that, please. It's just paying off, it's hard-earned money by someone we care for and we love. And so that's the first thing we ever paid off. The next one was, just to share a little bit, was my iPhone, which I'm shooting with right now, and I only owed about $200 to $300 from it, and it was really quick. We paid it off the first paycheck we had when we started this debt-free journey. So it's a great feeling knowing you've paid off a family member that you owed money to and a small item, right? But within that step, we also learned how to budget. And to share with you a little bit, we budgeted for 2 years. And the reason why is we wanted to see the cause and effect for every dollar we spend. If we spend $100 this week extra in groceries, how would that affect our debt-free journey for the next 2 years? And also, if you budget for until you're technically debt-free, you're able to see the light in the end of the tunnel, and you can really see that this is something that's achievable. If you just do it paycheck by paycheck, it really just puts you in that moment. And sometimes, especially in this one, it could be long for a lot of people, especially if you owe a lot of money in your student loans, your car loan, or your credit card. It could feel lonely, right? And you want to be able to feel good about yourself. And one thing that we see is crunching the numbers and finding out, okay, what does this $50 extra do to our budget, and how does this affect me for the next 2 years? And honestly, you take control over your money instead of it taking control of you. Step 6 is listening to other people who are also in the same path as you. So one thing that I love, and this is my guilty pleasure, is just listening to Dave Ramsey's podcast, and he has this portion called The Debt-Free Scream. And basically it's about people who have gone through this journey and they finished their debt repayment journey, and at last they could finally scream and tell the whole world that they're done, right? And it's really, really amazing because some of them have over $100,000 of student loan debt, and that could be really, it could really set you back, especially if you have a lot of dreams with, in the future. And to me, I find that really motivating because I'm technically around people who are going through the same thing, and that's kind of like my support group, right? Because not a lot of people like to talk about money, and they don't like talking about debt. It's like a big taboo still. And so normalizing that this is something that's happening, that this is a big issue for at least a lot of Americans, we'd be able to work through it together. And that's what I like to do, just listening to people go 3, 2, 1. I'm debt free. I love it. And sometimes it makes me feel emotional, and I sometimes cry based on the story that they tell. And then the last thing that I want you to do is, or that we do, is we like to imagine ourselves being debt free. I think when we started our debt free journey, we were paying about $1,700 a month just on debt. And what I realized was that $1,700, what can we do with that money? Maybe that's like an extra income. And so imagine yourself with what you will do with that money. We have a child, as you can see in this video. That's something that we really want to focus on, is saving for her future, because we don't want her to be in the same predicament that we're in. And imagining yourself being out of the position you're in really motivates you and puts you in a different light, because this is not who you are, and going through this journey doesn't make you this person. I'm not sure if I'm making sense there, but it's only a blip of your life that you're going through this. And if you're able to imagine where you could be and what you could be using that money, it's really powerful. Some of the Dave Ramsey's baby step number 7 is to give. And to some people, we want to give back to our community, and sometimes we're not able to do that because of the debt that we have. It's eating up all of our income. And so that's the last baby step. I'm not sure if I'm even going to upload this video, because there's a lot of this has been really tough. I don't know how YouTubers do it, but I really wanted to share our journey with you. And if you can leave a comment in the comment section and tell me what you're going through and what, just have any questions, let me know. I would really, really love to help you. And full disclosure, I am not a financial advisor by any means. This is just sharing our journey with you. But anyway, I hope to see you in the next video if I create another one, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.